Hi, sixth graders, happy Thursday. Here's a little recap on the lesson we did today. So if you were absent or you just got home and got confused and you need a little boost. So here's what we did today. This was just a review on fractions, okay? So you get a common denominator always when you add or subtract fractions. You change the numbers. That means whatever you multiply the denominator by, you have to multiply the numerator by. You add or subtract the numerators and leave the denominator same, then simplify. So that's just a little recap on the notes we've already done and the stuff we've already done. So here were just 3 examples of problems that we learned about yesterday and the day before, just to kind of get us going before we did mixed numbers, okay? So mixed numbers are going to be where you have a whole number in a fraction and you add them. If it's the same, I want you have to do them up and down. It's too hard to do these side to side anymore, okay? So if you stack them, it's just a lot easier, and that's the way I want to see them. So if the denominators are same, it's the same. It's pretty simple. They both had a 5, so all I had to do is add 1/5 plus 3/5 to get 4/5, and then I add the whole numbers, okay? I do not add the whole numbers first and then add the fractions, just because when you get to subtraction, you may have to borrow and that won't work, okay? Well, you may have to regroup and that may not work. So you guys want to do the fraction first, okay? So on the subtracting one, if I don't have a common denominator, that's going to be the first thing I do. So you're following the same exact steps as fractions, except for I have whole numbers to do also. So I would do the fractions first. So I changed my 1/4 to 2/8. I did 3/8 minus 2/8 gives me 1/8, and then I did 4 minus 3. Okay, so that part's pretty much what we've been doing. We just added a little bit of whole numbers. I think this is a little bit straighter here. So let's get rid of that thing. So I might not be able to get rid of that because I don't know what to do that. So on this one, we had to change the denominator on both, and then I could add them, okay? If this were improper, you would have to change it back. So let's say this was 7/6, I would just add 1 to that because it would be 1 and 1/6. I would add 1 to that. Okay, so you're always gonna put it in those terms. So this is just a couple more of the same type of problems, subtraction, where I found the common denominator first, and then did the whole number, subtracted the fraction, and then subtracted the whole numbers. Okay, so the biggest thing we talked about was regrouping, okay? What I want you to keep in mind, sometimes when you have to subtract, you have to regroup. Remember, you can never subtract going up. You always have to be going down. So anytime I'm subtracting, just like you might have to regroup, and I'm going to give you an example real quick on here. Let's say I had 51 minus 23 without a fraction. If I did this, remember how you have to kind of regroup and make that a 4, and then 10 plus 1 gives me 11. So I borrow 10 from here and I add 10 over here. I'm going to be doing the same thing with fractions, only I'm adding 1, not 10. So it's not just going to be that easy. So if I had something like 1 minus 2/7, okay? Let me go back a little bit. And we just talked about making change up here, but just remember that 1 is equal to 8 over 8, 1 is equal to 5 over 5, 2 over 2, 8 over, I already said 8 over 8, 100 over 100. So any number over itself is equal to 1. If I need to regroup, that's a good way to start. So this first problem, and it's easier if I kind of walk through it, so I'm going to redo it on here. If I have 1 minus 2/7, I want to keep the fraction on the fraction side, then the whole number on the whole number side, because I need to know that I don't have a fraction to subtract from. I cannot subtract going up. I can't say 2/7 minus no 7s, okay? So what I need to do is I need to say, well, I need 7s. My denominator is 7s. Remember, you have to have a common denominator. So I could say, I'm going to borrow 1, and I'm going to add it on over here as 7 over 7. All I did is move it. I regrouped it, okay? Now I can subtract it. I have 7/7 minus 2/7, and I get 5/7, okay? Picture-wise, I'm going to do not with 7s because I can't technically draw 7s that great. But let's say I had 1 minus 2/3, okay? So if I have 1 whole, that's what I start with, that's all I have, and I want to take away 2/3 of it, well, first I'd have to split it into thirds, and then I could take away 2 of them, okay? And I'd be left with 1/3. So if I were doing it this way, I would do 1 minus 2/3. I'm going to get the same answer because I'm going to borrow, make that a 0, make that a 3/3, and I would do 3 minus 2 is 1/3. Okay, so it's picture-wise, I would have to divide it into thirds first before I could subtract anything. Okay, that's why I need to make it thirds. All right, so there are just a couple other examples. So, like, if I were doing like 5 minus 3/20, okay? The way that I showed everybody is, so if I did 5 minus 3/20, again, I would make this a 4, and I need 20ths. So my 1 that I borrowed, I'm going to add on as 20/20, because 4 plus 20/20 is equal to 5, because 4 plus 1 equals 5. Okay, so that was just a couple other examples. Now, here's the tougher part when we're combining them, okay? So I'm going to go through the first one, and I'm just going to explain a couple of them on here. So if I had 2 1/4 minus 3/4, okay, I can't do 1 minus 3, and I certainly can't do 3 minus 1 because I don't subtract going up. So I'm going to borrow 1 here, make that a 1, and I'm going to add it on as 4/4. Now, I'm not doing 4 minus 3. I have this one I borrowed, but I still had this 1/4, so I'm going to add them together and they equal 5/4. Now I can subtract the fractions. 5/4 minus 3/4 is 1/4. 1 minus nothing is 1. Okay? Picture-wise, what this would look like, I'm not sure if I had that on there, sorry. If I had 2, we're going to pretend those are the same size, and I have a 1/4, right? And I need to subtract 3/4. So I have 2 1/4, and I'm going to subtract 3/4. Okay? Well, I have 1/4, but I need 2/4 more. So if I split this into 4s, I could take away 3/4 now. Here's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So I still needed that 1/4, right? So now I was left with 1 whole, and I wrote 1/4 instead of 2/4, you guys, I'm sorry, and 2/4, so 1 and 2/4, which we know is 1 1/2. Okay, so that's how that works. So your big things you have to remember are down here. Find a common denominator, regroup if the numerator on the top number is smaller than the numerator on the bottom number, okay? And then you subtract and put in lowest terms like you normally would, okay? Here's some examples. Again, these notes are on the notes link on the agenda page, so you can look them over a little bit better. If you have any other questions, let me know, and otherwise have a fabulous day.